I've said time and time again that AAA studios waste way too much money on their games because they are basically just dumping it down the drain, hoping for bigger and bigger returns that most of the time don't happen. But apparently, there's an RPG created by one man that is just embarrassing developers.
In a gaming landscape littered with high-budget blockbusters and AAA titles of varying levels of overall quality, the amounts of cash it takes to produce today's top titles have reached the hundreds of millions of dollars, and even then, tragically, more and more still leading to a product that limps into the limelight. But all the way back in 2006, near enough down the road from where I live, a man would sit down with the mind to achieve the seemingly impossible, to develop a game single-handedly that would, as its development progressed, go on to become one of the most highly praised RPG experiences ever made.
See, it's easier and easier to make games now, but big studios don't want you to think that, so they just want to bloat their games to an insane degree, to the point that they overcomplicate it and make it a buggy mess. It's so frustrating to deal with.
Shoving aside Goliath studios and publishers to sit at a review score that remains even till this day as literally overwhelmingly positive. But how exactly did developer Chris Hunt pull off this mind-blowing feat? What exactly makes up this rough-looking game to make it so unbelievably beloved to its thousands of active players? Well, today, my friends, we set out to find out, diving straight into its sandbox world, gearing up supplies for our adventure across the desert, and uncovering the magic that defied all odds. My name's Mitch Mannix, and this is Kenshi. When first booting up the game and setting up, Kenshi offers players a number of options of how they want their sandbox adventures to begin, with each being geared for difficulty or a particular playstyle, with examples such as heading
trading RPG, action RPG, just straightforward RPG, different difficulties. This is developed by one person.
Out with some startup capital to become a trader, finding a dog that you haven't figured out whether it is a companion or dinner, or being exiled from your tribe and being left alone to fend for yourself. But today's tale has a far darker beginning, as out of the gate we will be enslaved. A hard difficulty start with a rather ominous hint, and with that we are sent to the character creation, which for a solo title has quite a lot of options to customize your hero, with race choices impacting initial stats and experience gains, and as we'll see a little.
The fact that you can choose different races that impact the stats is very impressive, and it's something that I really appreciate in games. So far, the only thing that I can see as far as a downside is that, yeah, the UI is not the best. Like it's a bit of an over the top UI. But, you know, this game is developed by one person. If you have just a little bit of help, it probably knock out all the issues.
A little later in the video, much more than that. But we need a hero for this adventure, so must of course call upon Arthur. Now I know what regulars of the channel may be thinking, but I finally decided to go with a completely serious character choice this time, as this is serious business. So this is Dear Arthur, and his sidekick Skibbity, a duo that are the best of friends, but have clearly fallen on hard times, as our adventure begins. Right away we find out that hint was not kidding around, with both Arthur.
Yeah, see, the UI down at the bottom leaves a little bit to be desired as far as user experience, but outside of that, still already impressive.
And Skibbity having to dart straight to a nearby cage to subdue the guards, with poor Skib not quite making it, and getting beaten to the ground before being placed in his bindings. Skibbity vowing to get his revenge on a particular jeering guard that may or may not have called him a nightmare fuel hat stand, as we are taunted by our captors, the Holy Legion, spouting their religious rhetoric and shaving Arthur's head. We get a look at our surroundings, and I'll level with you. Early on for me with Kenshi, I was skeptical on whether this game was truly something special, or just triggering a lot of older RPG nostalgia for players, with its click-to-move system, absence of NPC voice dialogue, and rough around the edges visuals. But if there's something great truly held within, I thought, we'll find it.
Well, yeah, if it's truly created by just one person, you can't really expect a whole bunch of voiced dialogues, because that would require him to invest a bunch into voice actors or be an unreasonably talented voice actor on top of what appears to be a rather impressive game developer.
First by finding a way out of this terrible fate in the prisons of Rebirth. With Skibidi finally coming to, we set about fiddling around with the cage's locks to improve our knowledge of lockpicking. Hours and hours dragged by, and although such knowledge was good, it was also vital, as both Arthur and Skibidi were starving to death. A situation that they would have no choice but to address that very night, with the pair embarking on the highly dangerous task of sneaking around the mines for some morsels of food. Finding only a single piece for Skibidi, they shuffled back empty-handed and returned to their cages once more to formulate their next move. As the sun began to rise, the lockpicking practice resumed as the two got more and more skilled, but not without a mistake or two, such as Arthur, filled with pride following a successful pick, wandering out of his cage and instantly being pounced on by the guards and whisked away to another cell, splitting him up from his bug-eyed buddy.
Yes, laugh while you can.
After getting accustomed with Arthur's new cage, we are sent out to work in the mines, getting a further look at the game's skill development. Each character in Kenshi has a wide range of
Ooh, that's a significant amount of skills. That's more than you'd see in like Fallout.
skills to progress and work
That's
towards.
awesome.
Beginning of course from nothing, making the early game a truly savage environment. Skillless and hardly able to defend yourself against the aggressors of the land, which there are many. But we would not need a mastery of the sword for what would come next. As while Arthur worked away in the baking sun, Skibidi was plotting his revenge on a certain guard he had suffered from the day before. Waiting till the dead of night, he snuck out once again.
And I already see his lockpicking has improved from like a 4% chance to a 47% chance. It seems like the skill progression system is rather impressive. It looks like, I mean, they're already including so many dynamics for a single person to handle. This is amazing.
Again from his cage, all the way to one of the guards' quarters. In a keen sleight of hand, he unlocked his bindings, crept up to the sleeping fool, and carefully removed his armor, instead replacing them with Skibidi's own slave shackles. It was a long shot, he thought, but upon completion he snuck back to his cage and eagerly waited until morning, where the violent, now former guard got quite the wake-up call.
With hard work, blood and sweat, you can still redeem yourself.
Oh, hello. Fancy seeing you here.
The fact that he programs something in that if you wind up trading your clothes with somebody and throwing the shackles on them, they will also be treated the same way. Like, there's so many levels to this that had to have been thought out. Not to mention, this is in one play zone. He starts out in different areas based off of whatever you selected at the very beginning, if you wanted to be a trader or whatever. I can't even imagine how much he really put into this. This is insane.
But revenge was not freedom, so after more working away in the mines and some extracurricular activities, the time was now or never, as Arthur in particular could not go on much longer without food. In the dead of night once more, the pair set out with their new, much improved lockpicking skills and began setting loose all of the other captives, one by one, with even some being too paralyzed with fear to move. A small gang of potential escapees followed our two heroes, heading to the back entrance, and with the sun soon to rise, there was no turning back, and the entire group barreled past the guards in a bid for freedom, hoping that surely they cannot stop them all. The sounds of their fellow inmates being cut down ringing in their ears, and after what felt like an eternity, they were clear of the horrors of rebirth, to quite ironically, begin their own.
And it kind of looks like the character got skinnier based off the hunger levels, which is just another dynamic that was programmed in, which is also impressive.
Following the road down, the pair came across an abandoned shack, still within throwing distance of their prison. They adopted caution exploring within, and opted to send only Skibidi, as Arthur began to unfortunately pass out with exhaustion and couldn't risk him face-planting mid-heist.
Oh, fuck.
Opening up the front door, Skibidi uncovered a treasure trove of food and supplies to get them on their feet. All rather convenient, Skibidi thought, until they found a note left on the upper floor, left by what was surely another ex-inhabitant of the Holy Nation's prison. And it was while staring at this note and contemplating the madness of the escape that I imagined could have gone a number of ways that I began to catch a glimpse of what makes Kenshi stand out and vowed to uncover more. Freedom was finally theirs, and the task now turned to venturing out and establishing themselves in this cutthroat environment. It would be especially hard, as at least for now they will still be recognized by some as escaped slaves. Kenshi uses a character state system to report how each member of a team is presenting to the inhabitants of the world, putting on a set of armor plucked straight from...
Hey, we have to remember that this game came out in 2006. So this came out pretty close to the same time as like World of Warcraft came out. But this was made by one dude. And it has all of these systems. The AI looks like it could use a little help as far as enemies and stuff like that. And the UI user experience probably could too. But those are such minor gripes compared to the overall impressive nature of this game. Holy crap.
From our trash can helmet-toting former captors, for example, would lead to less informed other citizens assuming they were indeed from that clan. And for now, our state revealed that we would still be identified as escapees if running into the wrong person. So we'd need to be careful, as trouble hid around every corner of the desert. The decision was made to hightail it out of the land claimed by this oppressive holy nation, and seek sanctuary.
I thought initially when they came out, there was just a single crater. But this looks to be a massive landscape on top of everything else.
Further south, in the more tolerant colonies, it was a long trip down, and after hitting back a bit, the nation breaking into a nearby farm and robbing them blind, we got a further look at some of Kenshi's more immersive features, with Arthur and Skibidi having conversations around nearby landmarks, fears of being re-imprisoned when passing another holy nation settlement, and Arthur pissing off his buddy with his remarks about the Hivers when nearing one of Skibidi's former stomping grounds.
Bane, the Hivers may be harmless enough, but don't let that fool you. Those guys are plain sneaky.
Ouch. That hurts, you know.
Oh, don't overreact. You know I don't mean you. No, Hive.
After another tiring trek across the desert, the pair finally arrived at their new home for the time being, Squin, a town ran by the Shek race, and although not exactly the most friendly of bunch to outsiders, at least gives us a chance to develop our skills and maybe even a place to live. Buying a backpack, the two put their time in the mines to good use, by turning their mining skills into a moneymaker for some startup capital. And it was while working away an imposing figure wandered by, putting the trash can helmet-toting holy nation to shame. This was a laundry basket-toting shinobi assassin, striding through the land alone, and with stats like that, one can see why. Which made Skibidi think, if they could make it to where they resided, maybe they could join these mysterious shinobi and become just as powerful. The rare shinobi sighting was not all the surrounding area had to offer, it seems, as we of course had to make sure to keep an eye out for gangs of roaming bandits looking for easy targets, and dash back towards the safety of the hulking town guards to ensure victory and to get some...
Alright, I gotta look up more about this game. No, it didn't come out in 2006. It came out in 2016. I apparently misheard it, because I just looked it up on Google. It came out in 2016. Still impressive. And I mean, overwhelmingly positive recently and since inception, apparently. Like, people are commenting on the story. I don't see a single unrecommended. Oh my God. I need to play this game. I feel like I'm going to pop this up on stream, because for a single person to make this, it says it's developed by Lo-Fi Games, which is literally just this dude, apparently, because they had a picture of him at the beginning. He's only got one game, which makes sense, because if you're one dude, it takes you a while to make a game. But still, holy crap, I'm just blown away by this. I had to take a break in the video just to acknowledge how awesome this is.
Combat experience, albeit brief, even when getting absolutely owned.
Oh, fuck.
With some funds finally lining our pockets after selling off some collected ore, we added to our party by picking up a pack bull from a gang of local animal traders. Picking up being the key phrase here, with Arthur taking it very literally indeed. The next addition to our party came after checking the local bar for someone to help Arthur with his unfortunate, very slave-like haircut, coming across a Shek mercenary looking to join us, which we just could not refuse, as something about her just spoke to us. The next step would be somewhere to call home while we set the stage to build our own settlement down the line. So turned our eyes to a broken down property in Squin, with the mind to fix it up ourselves, and with another member of the team.
So you can harvest the materials yourself, you can build up the house yourself, you can buy property, just like as if it's Skyrim, which... Think about the team that developed Skyrim and how long Bethesda's been just sitting on it, because they've been re-releasing it 1,000 times. Then this dude comes out with this just because he felt like it.
Team sped things up nicely, with another hand on deck to gather materials to sell. However, the bandit threat remained to slow the team down now and again, causing some rather gruesome flaily injuries, including a bandit that I have to take my hat off to, even with 2 broken arms still flailing around in the background, surely just for moral support at this point. And Arthur with his shaved head and beard combo looking like a scuffed Andy Tate.
Oh, Andrew, stop it. Stop it, Andrew. Andrew.
Not before long, we had purchased our first home and began the rebuild, and with it the construction of a research bench to unlock further technologies. Kenshi has a well fleshed out research and crafting system.
So you have a research and crafting system, you have combat systems, you have an incredible storyline.
Begins at small-scale internal fixtures, such as training dummies to learn skills, or building chests and boxes for storage, and expands out to crafting entire player-constructed buildings and settlements, which as you can imagine takes a fair amount of materials and time to progress, which is where the game's ability to speed up time comes in handy, shown here with our newest member zooming across the land, living up to her namesake, travelling to another settlement for building materials, or Skibbity here honing his combat skills on a training dummy, getting a much-needed boost in time taken. Not before long we had a Tier 2 research bench, leveled up strength carrying around a whole bunch of iron mined from nearby, and made some comfy beds to finally enjoy a good night's sleep. But Skibbity lay awake, still with something on his mind. Either that or he just sleeps like that, which would be cursed. He lay awake thinking of the shinobi, and the possibilities they could hold for them all.
We must track them down.
He thought.
They hold the key to growing stronger.
With the morning came Skibbity's pitch to the others, and the decision was made to trek across the desert once more, to locate the mysterious shinobi clan. With the group gathering their things and wasting no time, this new adventure would of course come with it a whole range of new dangers, coming across a colourful new land, and getting chased by a group of bandits deep within it, just to be awkwardly saved by Skibbity's former tribesmen, and on the way out getting introduced to one of the game's most formidable and hilariously named foes.
I mean, what is he doing? What even is that? Can't think of it. What is it? It's just some sort of...
Big thing!
Ah, bloody hell!
Taking another chance to snap back at the Holy Nation, ransacking another one of its properties, and after being chased, bitten, beaten and broken, ultimately arriving at the Great Desert, and with it soon after the settlement of Heft, the home of the Shinobi clan. With the other 2 exhausted from the journey, Arthur alone made his way to the clan's head.
I am just so blown away by this. I looked it up. It's made by Lo-Fi Games. It's originally one dude who started developing in 2006. So that's where I got confused with the 2006 versus when the game came out in 2016. And he worked alone for 6 years while also working a second job. He gave early access in 2013, and then he got a team to help him out in 2014. And it became one of the top 100 most played games on Steam as of 2019. And it doesn't look like he has like a huge team. So we got... Oh, it looks like they've expanded quite a bit. But it looks like some of it's like localization. Like this is this is a Russian translator. Transferring it to Polish. Like half of these people are just localization experts. Italian, Polish, Russian, Brazilian or Portuguese. But like outside of that, we got somebody handling some music and somebody handling some assets and some production. It looks like the team is probably like 10 people now. And they made an incredible game that everybody's loving, and it has some of the most played time on Steam. But for some reason, I haven't heard of it until now, probably because they don't spend a fortune on marketing like AAA games, because they're focused on the gameplay, on making a good game. Who'd have thunk, right?
Quarters, and after paying for his acceptance into their ranks, made his way to their advanced training room and began truly honing his skills, as he too had not forgotten that there was still a serious score to settle. If it wasn't clear already, Kenshi does not need to have the sharpest visuals or the most cutting edge of gameplay mechanics. What Chris Hunt has done with this project is create a single-player open-world RPG sandbox that not only overflows with character and immersive elements, but one that constantly and dynamically sets the stage for an endless number of stories for the player to craft and experience. There is just so much to this game, far too much to get into one video alone. Small touches such as when we were escaping the prison, one of the freed prisoners thanking us and asking to join our group, not to mention getting away with swapping out the guard's gear and getting him locked up with the other slaves. The player's chosen race having a legitimate and realistic feeling impact on the experience, from how passers-by speak to you to getting access and favor with certain tribes and clans. I even, while cheekily attempting to use the Holy Nation outposts, got stopped by them and was grilled for having non-humans in my party, but was able to lie about them being my assistants and slaves to get them off my back. The integration of the various factions and their beliefs and politics, all mixed into this incredibly harsh and overwhelmingly rewarding feeling experience, makes Kenshi on first glance look like a relic of the past, but after experiencing it for myself, spiraled into one of the best RPG experiences I've had in years, with a level of freedom and immersion that AAA developers can only dream of, embodying
the level of freedom and immersion that he mentions, that is so damn impressive. Like the game is reacting to every single thing that you're doing. It reacts to your race, your choices, the people you interact with, and it's so damn impressive. I'm like jealous that this game was made at all by like so, and apparently half the team is working on Kenshi 2 now. Like, if one guy can make this in almost 10 years, I can't imagine what kind of game he's going to come out with now that he's got a team. And it doesn't look like he's bloating up his team. He's just working on trying to come out with something amazing. It makes me more frustrated that AAA studios come out with so much garbage and they waste so much money in the process.
That feeling of wandering off into the distance, only speculating on what might unfold. The game's music and tone striking a feeling of hopelessness, yet adventure. There is so much to this game that I feel like I'm only scratching the surface, and if you would like to see more of Arthur and Skibbity's journeys, as we uncover more of this incredible title, and maybe even settle some scores with the Holy Nation, let me know by dropping a like on the video, and of course your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't tried Kenshi, don't be put off by first glances, as this game more than justifiably sits at an overwhelmingly positive score, following the work of a single man that through hard work and dedication pulled off what a lot would have thought impossible.
No fucking kidding. Like the size of this world and the depth of the mechanics in it. It's got a few rough edges, sure, but god damn. Like my mind is freaking blown.